and welcome back to another episode of Retro Alliance Gaming. So here's Butters again, because she needs to say hi. She's a little pissy because I've been holding her for 5 minutes trying to get the camera together. Look at her. She's so pissed. Look at the cat. Look at it. Okay. Anyways, guys. Alrighty, so it's been about 9 days since the episode. We've had a
She's now sniffing the tripod.
week, and yeah, it's just been hard to get one up and out. But okay, go ahead and starting. If you didn't hear the music, I want to talk about an NES game. Now, when I was a kid, the very first system I ever had was an NES. I loved the system to death, and from there I went on and got my Genesis and Super Nintendo and so on, but there was a lot of games I played for it that I remembered. Mario Brothers 1, of course, 2 and 3, Castlevania, Final Fantasy, Dragon Warrior, Gauntlet, Ninja Gaiden. There's a billion of them, but one of them that stood out to me as being super far ahead of its time was a game called Shadowgate. Now, the thing about Shadowgate is they were able to take a very limited machine, meaning 8 bits, and be able to make it feel like you were in a full-blown RPG world. Kind of like, I don't know how to explain this, but let's pretend we were playing a game like Skyrim or something like that, but imagine it in, you know, a low 8-bit mode where you were able to really get immersed in this world. So basically, not to give too much away, but you start out this game and you are outside of the the castle Shadowgate, and you enter, and how it takes place basically is it's a point and click, but you go into each room of the castle, and each room is a puzzle in and of itself with secrets and different things to unlock, and there's a lot of different buttons that you can click, which you're probably seeing the video in my corner, and you have to look at each individual thing in the room and figure out how to progress to the next room. That's a very important part of the game. That's the only way you can get through, as well as having the right things. And the crazy thing about this game is if you don't do everything exactly right, you will die. If somebody asks you a question and you get it wrong, you're dead. If you try to open a door without first pulling a book off a shelf or turning a key, you're also going to die. The game was very vibrant with an amazing soundtrack, and it was so immersive. Now, the reason I would want to tell you a story about this game, back in the day when we played this, I didn't know there was a Shadowgate 2, by the way. There is another Shadowgate on the TurboGrafx, which I have yet to play, and then Shadowgate 64 on the Nintendo 64, which is also a very good game. But when me and my brother picked up this game, and I was young, I think I had it before I played with him, so I would play this game, and you gotta understand, this was a time where we didn't have the internet. I couldn't just look up stuff and figure out how to get through this game. I had to figure it out myself. If I were lucky, I would have a guide, or maybe the back of like a Nintendo Power magazine might tell me something. But most of the time you're on your own, unless your parents were willing to let you call a 1-900 number, which I did a few times, and probably got in a little bit of trouble for doing that. Sorry about that, guys. But anyways, so yeah, I made it as far as I thought I could, but I could never quite get through the game, and it frustrated me that I couldn't, but I always wanted to move through it. I wanted to unlock the secrets of Shadowgate. I wanted to know what the finale and the end to this game was, and it just wasn't happening. So basically in this story, I ended up moving from a very small town, because I went from LA to this small town in California, not even worth mentioning, trust me. And I went to live with my brother in Fort Walton Beach, or actually I think we lived in Shalimar, Florida. We moved from there into a really nice big house, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I remember at the time the PlayStation was just coming out, and I still had the Genesis and the NES, and I showed my brother Shadowgate, and him and me became obsessed with this game. So me and him started playing this game, and room by room we would go through and we figure out the puzzles, or there's like a sphinx that pops up and asks you these questions like a riddle that you had to answer properly. We spent, I'm not kidding you, months on end, like not extremely long play sessions, but sometimes we play for 5 hours, then we stop, we play for hours the next day, or we play on weekends, and then we got to a point in this game where he could not figure it out and I couldn't. We could have called a 1-900 number, but at the time we were barely making ends meet. We didn't even have a home phone, for God's sakes. Things were a bit tight, and we always tried to see what we can do to make it through this freaking game. Well, long story short, my brother was married at the time. I think he was separated from his wife. He was feeling a little blue at the time, and I was just this kid trying to figure everything out, hanging out, maybe 11 years old, max 11, 12, possibly. I think, maybe even 13, I don't know. Let's just say 11 to 13. And me and my brother were sitting there, and he was waiting for somebody to get home, and we were playing the game, and we both decided we were going to go to sleep, and we had this big, huge sectional couch. One of those green ones that are really, really comfy. So this was a big house. I was kind of scared to sleep alone, and sometimes he would sleep on one end of the couch, and I would sleep on the other. So we had the top loader NES, the best one you can get, other than the fact it doesn't have composite cables, but that's another story. And we were playing, and then we turned it off, and we fell asleep. Now, again, this is 6 months after playing it. We revisited the game. We tried everything we could to get through this freaking room, and we could not figure it out, and it was so frustrating. I wanted to know how to move forward. So we fall asleep. I think it's maybe, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, maybe something like that. After we fall asleep, I think we slept for a few hours, and suddenly my brother woke up at around 2 a.m. and he's like, Travis, get up. I'm like, what? And he goes, dude, turn on the game right now. I'm like, what? He's like, just turn on the game. I'm like, okay. So I turn on the game, and we go back to this spot where we've never been able to beat it. My brother grabs the controller. We didn't have no phone. We didn't have any codes. We didn't have cheats. We don't have nothing. My brother's also one of the most honest people ever. So he picks up this controller, and I remember being in this room, and I don't remember the exact puzzle we were doing. You think it'd be burnt in my memory, but he literally figures out the puzzle instantaneously. We get through the room, the door opens up, and we get through. My freaking jaw drops. I'm like, holy shit. And we were finally able to get past this part. We were both screaming, we were excited, and from that point on, we went forward, and we didn't have too many more issues. We actually ended up going through all of the game from what I remember and beating it. The interesting thing is you're probably wondering, how the hell did you just wake up, suddenly go through this game after not being able to beat it for all this time? Me and my brother were so enveloped in the game, and I don't know, maybe in his mind he was in a certain mood at that time. There was some stress that's going on. He had a dream. The second we got past the room, he said, dude, I fell asleep, and I literally had a dream. I saw the freaking room in this game. He actually saw the room in Shadowgate and saw what to do. He dreamt how to get past this room, and we got on, and he thought, well, it probably isn't going to work, but I might as well try it. And I guess subconsciously he was thinking about it so much that when he went to sleep, it was there, and in his brain somehow through his dreams it got unlocked. This is a freaking miracle. Not only did he dream beating a game, but just the fact that he was able to remember the dream and know exactly what it was. And from that point on, the game got closer and closer to us. It was one of the coolest experiences we've had. I remember from that point, we played the game non-stop, hour after hour after hour, going from room to room, and we made it to the end. Now, if you guys ever load this game and play it, you're going to probably find yourself using a guide online and might be able to make it through fairly easily that way. I would suggest trying for yourself, and when you get stuck, and you're too stuck, go ahead and look it up. But one thing I will tell you about the experience is I think Shadowgate is one of the most overlooked games I've seen on the NES. You notice a lot of retro fans love it, but it's not a big game that's mentioned. In my opinion, it is one of the best third-party games ever made for the NES. There were a lot of great ones like Ninja Gaiden, Dragon Warrior, Gauntlet, you name it, but this game, to me, was probably the best I ever played on the NES. So yeah, I just wanted to share that amazing story with you. I remembered it the other night, and I was so excited just thinking about it. If you guys get a chance, pick up Shadowgate, even if you're not into point and clicks. If you're into mysteries or survival horror, a certain kind of genre, you'll really be able to get into the whole mystery of this game. And then from there, there's one on the TurboGrafx, which you probably need an emulator for because the system and the game itself is rather expensive. The game costing probably 2 times, 3 times more than the system. And they did have one later, Shadowgate 64, which was actually a first person. It wasn't point and click, you moved. The second one was still point and click, but you had a person. The first one was first person, where you just moved room to room. And the third one was like a first person adventure game that you moved from. It was a really great game. I really loved it, but never will I love it as much as I love the original Shadowgate on NES. So yeah, guys, anyway, I just want to share that little story with you. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Please stay tuned for more videos. I got so many ideas written down that I want to do. We've been crazy busy and a lot of stuff going on here, so I'm trying to get up as many videos as I can. And I'm also planning some really big videos. I just gotta get them down and get everything edited and finished. But anyways, please, if you're watching this video, leave a like if you enjoyed it, leave a comment down below, and most importantly, tune in for Halloween around 7 o'clock tomorrow night to watch me and my fiance play Resident Evil Revelations 2. We would love for you to pop up, maybe just say hi, leave some comments, and yeah, that would be wonderful. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and until next time. I forgot the remote. Okay, let's try that again. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.